after several months of waiting, we finally got our hands on a Polaris RZR PRO R Premium. And I am thoroughly impressed with this thing. So I haven't had the chance to actually take one of these out on the trails, but I can tell you, just from going up and down this dead end road, this thing's got a lot of power. I just can't get over it. Like, the A-arms are so beefy. 225 horsepower. Like, it's incredible. It's beyond incredible. So I'm gonna shut up. Actually, I'm gonna do a little bit more talking, but enough of seeing my face. Let's dive in and check this thing out. All right, guys, so again, this is the 2022 Polaris RZR PRO R Premium. As they did with the Pro XPs, you have the option of getting the Premium or the Ultimate. The Premium does not come with the dynamic suspension. As far as suspension goes, this pretty much just comes with the Walker Evans shocks. Great suspension setup on these, but does not give you the adjustment of what the dynamics setup does. The dynamic suspension on these is pretty darn impressive. So I'm gonna go ahead and just jump right into the engine, because I know that's the first thing you guys are probably wondering. What did they throw in this thing? What makes it 225 horsepower? So this has the 2.0 liter Polaris ProStar Fury engine. So this is a 4-cylinder, 2-liter liquid cooled engine that they have in this thing. 225 horsepower it's putting out. And obviously it definitely has, if you've ever ridden, we'll say a sport bike, if I can kind of compare, obviously two different ends of the spectrum. But if you've ever ridden a sport bike, the power is a lot like that. But this does actually seem to come alive at a much lower RPM than, say, what a typical sport bike would. Obviously, a machine of this stature putting out that much horsepower, they had to do some different design with the A-arms, the suspension, the wheels and tires. So this thing is sitting at 74 inches wide. I'll jump into the A-arm setup here in just a little bit, but I want to show you the footprint on this thing. Polaris outfitted this thing with some Maxxis Rampage Fury tires. These are a 32-inch tire, as you can see right there. So we got the 32-inch Maxxis Rampage Fury tires that come standard on this machine. And I'll be honest, that's a pretty attractive rim on there too, pretty attractive wheel. So I think they did a great job on the design with this thing, including the wheels, the A-arms, just the overall design. It does carry over a little bit of that Pro XP design, of course. So if you're on a Pro XP, the body looks very, very similar. You'll see a lot of the doors, the upper part of the frame, the front end looks very similar. All this is pretty much crossed over. But obviously the engine, the wheels and tires, the suspension, the A-arms, and pretty much the undercarriage of this thing is completely different. So as far as your front suspension setup on this thing goes, this is a lightweight box dual A-arm with 3-piece stabilizer. This is going to give you about 27 inches worth of usable travel, 22.25 inches worth of wheel travel. And working our way to the rear end here, I want to give you guys a nice good view of the rear suspension setup on this thing. This thing is absolutely badass. So on the rear suspension, you got a box trailing arm with toe link, high clearance radius rods, 3-piece stabilizer bar, 29 inches worth of usable travel, and 24.5 inches worth of wheel travel. And as I had mentioned, obviously this is the Premium, which does not come with the dynamic suspension, which would give you the Fox 2.5 valve shocks that you can adjust at the push of a button right inside the cab. These come with the Walker Evans 2.5 16 position click adjustable shocks. And right there they are. We make our way into the cab here. You can see a lot of similarities to the Pro XP. Again, you get the full door like a Pro XP Premium or Ultimate would give you. And then if you get inside here, you can see you got the battery right underneath the seat right there. Nice, adjustable, comfortable seats. Super comfortable seats with the Click 6 adjustable harnesses right there. And of course, similar to the Pro XP Ultimate, you have the telescoping steering wheel, which pretty much just pushes in and out. So there's in, there's all the way out, and of course, adjustment up and down. Here's something that you guys are not used to in this thing. So this actually has 3-position throttle mapping. So you have, right there, it's in race mode, and then you have rock and sport, and it actually shows you right up here on the dash what mode you're in, so you can see right there. So basically you got race, rock, and sport, and all that's doing is remapping your throttle. So if you are doing some rock climbing, obviously you'd want to put this into low gear, and then you pop that into rock mode, and it's going to essentially level out a lot of that abruptness with the throttle, so it's not as snappy, and it's going to be buttery smooth, and it's going to be ideal for rock climbing and stuff like that. Aside from that, everything else inside the cab here pretty much crosses over from a Pro XP. Everything is very similar. Your click 6 adjustable harnesses with the adjustable seating. You got your adjustable grab rail there for your passenger. Rockford Fosgate stereo system on this bad boy, so this is going to crank some tunes. Obviously your glove box is right up here. Got another center glove box right up there, and of course this wonderful 7-inch ride command display, which is going to give you all of your vehicle information here. You got your navigation right there. That's pretty cool. That's all touchscreen. You're used to that. And of course your Bluetooth button. So here's your radio. Oh yeah. Oh, I must have been a fool back then to lose something that you can't have again. I thought all that I know in second guess. So my thoughts on the Pro R. Clearly somebody at Polaris is a madman and decided, hey, let's throw a 4-cylinder engine into a side-by-side and see how fast we can make this thing go. And they did that, and they did a phenomenal job. Obviously, like I mentioned, this has the Polaris ProStar Fury 2.0 liter 4-cylinder. Obviously it's fuel injected, it's liquid cooled, all that stuff. I still have a lot of people ask if side-by-sides are carbureted. Suspension is phenomenal in this thing. I love what they did. Obviously a machine of this stature, you have to have the suspension, you have to have the proper foundation to withstand a bigger, wider machine. And speaking of width, that's also something else I forgot to mention. So again, 74 inches wide, and this is giving you 16 inches worth of ground clearance. 16 inches worth of ground clearance. And again, I'll go here to the back of the machine so you guys can get an idea what it looks like from the back end once more. 16 inches worth of ground clearance, and of course getting a beautiful view of that 4-cylinder engine with that awesome center pipe coming out the back. Everything about this is very aesthetic. Everything about it makes sense. And of course, something else, this comes standard with the aluminum roof, so that's pretty cool. Now, I know what you guys are asking, am I going to get the chance to take this thing out on the trail? Probably not right away. Hopefully within the next couple months, I might have the opportunity to take one of these out. We'll see, within the next year or so. And at that point, I can strap up the GoPro and maybe take one for a spin out on the trail. But just wanted to do this video here real quick today, show you guys what it looks like, do a quick walk around, show you guys what it looks like, what all it comes with, all the features and benefits and stuff like that. Obviously, as I had mentioned, clearly Polaris has a madman working somewhere in that factory and said, hey, let's throw a 225 horsepower 2-liter engine into a side-by-side and see how much horsepower we can get this thing to put out. And they did that. I mean, they hit the ball out of the park. Thing from the power to the suspension to the foundation to everything that they have carrying this machine, the suspension, the box link suspension, the A-arms, they just did a phenomenal job building this machine. And everybody's always asking for more power, more power, more power. So clearly 181 horsepower, 190 horsepower, 200 horsepower wasn't enough. So they threw a 4-cylinder into a side-by-side, and it still just blows my mind. I keep saying that because it's blowing my mind. But yeah, so trying to think if I missed anything. I'm gonna start wrapping up this video because I got to get back to work here. But again, this thing is bad to the bone. 225 horsepower, 4-cylinder, 2.0 liter Polaris ProStar Fury engine in this thing. Amazing suspension, 74 inches wide, 16 inches worth of ground clearance. You got these awesome Maxxis Rampage Fury tires on here, 32-inch tires with that super awesome looking rim. Nice wheel setup there. Walker Evans shocks. Again, this is just the premium, so this is not the ultimate that comes with the dynamic suspension or anything like that, but still Walker Evans has been a phenomenal suspension setup for these. I've had these out on the trails, not this particular machine, but I've had machines out with the Walker Evans, and they, to me, they've never let me down. I've been on some pretty rocky territory, some pretty aggressive trails, and the Walker Evans shocks always seem to just, you know, do the job. Scoop around here to the front so you guys can get one last view. And hopefully you guys, if you're thinking about ordering one of these, you can get your hands on it. Back up this way so you can get an idea for what she looks like. Man, that thing is huge. What a really cool machine. I'm so glad we got one of these in that I can check out. So glad. Obviously you get your storage up here. This is pretty cool. So you still got plenty of storage. Got the D-rings in here if you want to tie some stuff down. So that's pretty neat. I really like that this tailpipe comes out right dead in the center. I think that was a really cool touch. And we'll scoop in here and get an idea, get a view for that engine. So there's your 4-cylinder. You get your header pipes coming out here into the muffler right back there. So pretty neat, guys. This is really impressive. This is kind of one of the things that I always look for in a side-by-side. And I just love that this thing has such a nice, big, beefy A-arm on this thing. You know, they knew they were going to be packing a punch with this thing, and obviously you got to have a firm foundation when you got a machine of this stature, so put a lot of thought into it. And one last thing, scoop inside here real quick. As I had already shown you, I want to show you one last time. You get your power modes in here. This is what's really setting this, aside from that engine, this is also a big thing that's setting this apart from the rest of the RZR models. So you got your race mode, rock mode, and sport mode. So that is actually mapping your throttle, not your suspension. That's mapping out the throttle. So basically, whatever scenario you're in, if you're racing some buddies, you put it in race mode, it's going to make that throttle a lot snappier, a lot more aggressive. And then if you're doing some rock climbing or anything like that, obviously put your gear, put it in the low gear, put it in rock mode, and it's going to be buttery smooth. It's not going to be as jumpy, not going to be as aggressive on the throttle whenever you're doing any kind of rock climbing or anything like that. All right, guys, so it is 9 o'clock. That means I have to head back up to the store here and finish opening everything up. So if you guys have any questions about this thing, please leave your questions in the comments section below. I love answering everybody's questions. You're always welcome to call the store, 301-739-2773. Me and my coworkers will be there waiting to hear from you. Hopefully this is a little bit informative. I know you guys are always looking for YouTube videos that they're actually taking these things out on the trails. I'm sorry. I'd like to get to that point at some point that I can, you know, do some videos of these out on the trails and stuff like that. But for now, we're gonna stick with just the up close and personal and informative stuff and just doing the quick walk arounds and stuff like that. And eventually we'll get out there on the trails, and hopefully I can get out there and ride with a couple of you guys out there on YouTube. So, yeah, guys, appreciate you watching, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later.